Toast. The Tokyo Tex, the Kamikaze Cowboy, the Sukiyaki Jockey, the MOT, the Man of Trail, Tim Kimura, and from the home of the San Antonio Spurs, the man behind the wheel at Keeping It Real, Brad Jewett.
Let us know where you're tuning in from tonight. This looks like a fantastic night, I gotta say. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. In about 2 minutes, we are going to be starting the auction of our whiskey cake from Whiskey River Cake Company. 2 minutes, we're going to start the bidding. All proceeds go to the NSBA and AQHA Crisis Fund, so you will not want to miss out on this amazing whiskey cake. All right. The time has begun. Let's put that picture up there, Kona. There we go.
Hey, where's my cake?
There's Mr. Tim, Mr. Brad. This is the cake auctioning off.
River cakes.
You can see that we have it right here in front of us. Kona, go ahead and drop that picture down. Let me tell you how good this cake is. You dropping that picture? Yeah. Let me tell you how good this cake is. Tim and I were each sent one of these whiskey cakes. How long did yours last, Tim?
Not very long.
We already got $100 from Mr. Judd Paul. Thank you, Judd. That's way. Pop that up on the screen there, Kona. We got $100 from Judd Paul. Judd Paul's obviously had one of these whiskey cakes. So that's a great way to get this started tonight. These things are amazing. We'll be eating them while we're on the show. Sorry, Andy, Katie, Joe, and Aaron, that we can't share it through our meeting tonight, but good stuff. All right, we got a few more minutes before we get on. We're going to turn the music back up. We're going to post the pictures of our amazing guests tonight. Keep the bidding going, people. Come on. Benefits a great cause, NSBA AQHA Crisis Fund. We got $100 for the whiskey cake right now. We got $125 now. Let's keep it going. The century mark tonight viewers. So we're about to get live here, ladies and gentlemen. The countdown has begun. Welcome to the Keeping It Real show. Make sure you let us know where you're tuning in from. Remember, Whiskey River Cake Company, we're auctioning off tonight. Right now, the bid is $200 for the Crisis Funds, NSBA and AQHA. Let's keep it going. I'm Brad Jewett.
I'm Tim, the Trailman.
Keeping it real.
And now, Brad and Tim.
Hello, everybody. It is literally 7 o'clock. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are not going to beat around the bush, because we got three amazing Western Pleasure horse trainers, they can do other things too. We've seen them all do other things, but we've got some amazing, there you go, Tim, amazing horse trainers here tonight to share some awesome wisdom with us. So, Tim, I say we just get right to it. How about you?
Let's dive in.
All right, let's do it. Kona, let's bring them in.
Hey.
There we go, Miss
Here we
Katie
go.
Jo Zuidema, Mr. Andy Cochran, Mr. Aaron Moses in the house, man. Thank y'all so much for taking your Wednesday night to join us. I'm sure you'd much rather be riding. That's the way fraternity people work, I think, is like if I ain't sleeping, I'm riding, which we're, as an all-around trainer, we're very grateful for you guys. But we're going to get kicked right in, Tim. As we all know, Tim has our leading questions for the night. But first of all, I think we're going to get going with just introductions, right, Tim?
For sure. So we're going to start you guys off. Katie, I'm going to lead us off, and I'll just tell you the question. Tell us about your family, where you're from, where your business is located. How long have you been showing Western Pleasure and Hunt Seat, and how'd you learn your craft?
All right. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Katie Jo, and I'm from Michigan. My mom and my dad were married, and they were horse trainers together years ago, and they separated, and my mom got a real job and taught me about real life, and my dad married Judy. My dad's Wayne Davis. Many of you probably know him. And my dad and Judy were horse trainers, and my dad did the Western, and Judy did the Hunt Seat horses. And we always had people that worked for him. My dad started a shavings business early in his career, which he ended up sort of taking off and making a lot of money on. So what he did was he always tried to hire good horse trainers to work for him. And Brian Isabel worked for my dad for a year and a half. Doug Pratt, the same. Scott Suggs, Jason Duquette, and a whole bunch of other people. And so that's where I got my start.
Wow, that's a great list.
Yeah, really.
I know, right? yeah. I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
And so, Brian, they all have great stories. We all have stories about each other. And the cool thing is, way later in life, we're all friends. And it's been kind of fun.
That's awesome.
Especially Scott and I. But I don't want to get off. Let me start over again. So, go ahead.
Did you see the pictures that were up there? Do you want to comment on any of those pictures and explain any of those pictures? Pop those back up if you would, Connie. There you go.
Okay, so
How about
my
the
dad.
one right underneath you? That's kind of an interesting one. And who's that sitting beside you?
Okay, so hold on, don't jump ahead of me. So my dad was super tight when I was a kid with J.R. Reichert and Carl Yamber, and they did a lot of business together. And so my whole youth career showed whatever they had laying around. And so your lower left picture, I was the first time I ever showed at the Congress and loped. And that was 1100 saddle. And I was 10, and that horse's name was Dusty, and my dad used shavings money to buy it, and Carl and Trish trained it, and that was Trish's 3-year-old, and so I won the Congress on that horse. Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, what do you mean by he used shavings money?
Okay, so my dad's Wayne Davis Quality Betting, so
There we go.
He has the shavings contract at the Congress, and he's, I think, probably the largest shavings dealer in the Northeast part of the country. But if you ask him, he's a horse trainer. You
bet.
So anyway, that's where that started. And then his super tight friends were for sure Tracy and Sharon Willis. And so the picture beside it is me and Casey Willis as kids. I think I was probably...
that's where that came. Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And so I think I was probably 16, maybe 17, and he was probably the same age. We're the same age. So that's us as youth kids together there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome. So I think we've seen it so much in all of our other shows. This is our 22nd, 23rd show, one of those two. But just what a small world that this really is. And to see the picture with Katie Jo and Casey there. And I know tonight I am certain that we are going to hear how the training tree goes down with the 3 guests that we have tonight. Who do we have next, Tim?
Aaron, I'm bringing you back. Here you go, big guy. Aaron, tell us about your family and where you're from.
Oh, we got some good pictures for you, Aaron Moses. You better.
Aaron's got great pictures. I'm a little jelly.
Well, I was born in Maine, which isn't the most ideal place to get involved with horses, but luckily we moved to Colorado for a little while when I was pretty young, and I saw what I thought were cowboys, and I just decided I wanted to be one. And that kind of stuck with me, my whole life, and growing up, that's really all I wanted to do, was get involved with horses and take riding lessons. And there was a place near my house that we just kind of happened onto, Al Doobie Quarter Horses. And we pulled in there one day, and Al ended up being a huge influence on me. Kind of really taught me a lot about riding, and got me started. And awesome. I kept my horse there and worked there every day after school. And he just really taught me a lot about life. And my mom was really amazing. She's an amazing lady, but she was great about supporting what we wanted to do, and figuring out how to get us to the horse shows and all that stuff, and started showing a little bit. I bought my own horse when I believe I was 12, and it happened to be bred for Western pleasure, so that's what we did with it. And obviously,
is that by chance the one up in the top left of that picture? Am I a little late there? If you know any of these pictures fall into your story, please let us know which ones it is.
Yeah, it's the horse in the bottom left two pictures. So
showmanship picture, yeah. Aaron Moses.
Wow.
I love it.
Wow.
Just trying to figure out something we could be successful in, but
that's why Chown married you, isn't it?
I doubt it, but luckily she didn't see me do it before we got married, I don't think. But so from there, it kind of progressed, and I started showing a little bit and got to go to the Congress, and I was really, really lucky to meet Gil and Becky Gallion, and they really took me in, and I really didn't know much at all about training a Western pleasure horse, and they helped me through that and were patient with me, and I appreciate everything they did for me.
Awesome.
Great. Okay, Andy.
Drum roll, please.
Oh yeah, Andy. Let me give you your card. Andy Cochran. I got it now. Okay, Andy, hit us.
All right, hello guys. Again, I'm Andy Cochran. I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Sir.
My story is I grew up in the city. Wasn't much in the country, but when we were little, my mom grew up kind of in the country riding horses, and when my dad was alive, my mom wanted to kind of get a horse, and he wasn't for it. So later on in the years, my dad passed away, and I was always kind of shorter, and couldn't play much sports. I was like, heck, man, I'm too little for this. So mom's like, hey, look, let's get a horse. So we found a boarding stable somewhere in town, right outside of town. Anyway, same thing. We found a little crappy, junky horse, and we grew to love it, and went out there every afternoon after school, and it was something I fell in love with, and just kept going. Then we got into the Saturday night shows, and we did everything. We didn't know what we were doing. Barrel pickup, keyhole, all that. And then as it progressed, they had the boys' pleasure, and then the junior pleasure, men's pleasure, whatever. So then we tried to upgrade what we thought was upgrading, get another horse, and we tried to do this and that. And as I got older, it kept going. And then I was fortunate. A guy you all know, Jerry Stanford, moved to Arkansas. So he kind of started seeing me and my family around and whatnot. And he started helping me. And then, we got better horses teaching me. And then I was fortunate. My mom helped me, get a barn. We built a little barn. I got, then after my first car, then I got a truck. So that progressed, and things kept growing. And then as I got older, Jerry was still around and helped me a lot, and introduced me to a whole lot of people. Cleve and I'd come out west, and Shane was there at the time, and Rusty was around, and Steve and Mike Mosier, and just Guy Stoops. And so I kind of stayed in this west side of our country, and just progressed, and I got older, and I started learning, and I never really did go to work for anybody. I was kind of my mama's boy. I wanted to, and I had a little brother, and I really didn't want to leave home. I did, but I just don't want to leave. So Jerry was still there and just really introduced me and took me around, and I got myself involved with some really good people, and then started getting some outside horses as I got older, and it just worked out really good for me. Got surrounded by good people, got good lessons, and that's kind of how I got started.
Nice.
So,
How about your kids?
what's that, Tim?
How about your children?
They're good,
You see the pictures up there, Andy. Tell us a little bit about them, and then about some of the stuff that they've been doing.
I was married before to their mom, Audra. She was great. She was, we had a good business. They did the horses a little bit, and they got into the motocross some. We did that for a while. Things changed, got stable, and a really good deal now. And they picked up the horses a little bit again, and they did with their mom too. My little son he got some ponies, trained them up, sold some for a lot of money, did really good. Alec, my oldest boy, he's an electrician now, does really good.
Great trade.
Yes, he likes the speed stuff. He's bought a little trader from Jeff Honey, a friend of ours from home.
Yeah.
Ended up winning the novice world in the polls 2 years ago, and or maybe I don't remember the dates. Anyway, he tried the pleasure a time or two. We let him show one here. He won the novice world for the first time in the amateur. The little one, he loves it too. He got to tie the Congress last year with Jay Starnes' boy in the 11 and under, maybe. Yeah. First time at the Congress, and then he was reserving the novice after that. So they both like it, and they're very talented. How far they want to go with it, I don't know, but we support them anyway, whatever they want to do. So
I just want to say something. With our program here, the sharing of your life, of your beginnings, where you come from, because there's so many people here that are world champion, Congress champion, etc.
Yeah.
And to hear the base of it, right? To hear how you showed when you were young. Like, we had a saddle club at home, and I so get that. It brings me back to my roots a little bit too. So I appreciate you guys, sharing your stories with us all the time like that.
Well, and I failed to mention when we were bringing them in, because the reputation of these three precedes all of them. And we did have, of course, their pictures of leading up to our 7:00 start. So I definitely don't want to just and not everybody realize what an amazing group of pleasure horse trainers we have tonight, and what they've been able to accomplish in the show ring. But that's not where we want to put our focus tonight. Our focus is about you guys getting to know them.
Right.
Everybody that's here, we are I think we've actually maybe reached our biggest mark that we've had on any of our shows yet. So we want to be sure that all of you that are here tuned in get to know who they are, maybe stories that you don't get to ask them at the horse show, because I know as futurity trainers, which you'll hear tonight, how busy they are and how much and not just futurity trainers, but pleasure horse trainers, running their businesses, so many things going on that they just don't necessarily always have time to be able to answer these questions. So this is what tonight is about. We have a list of questions. We would be more than happy for you guys to come in and ask some questions. I'd love to say that we can get to all of them, but I'm pretty sure we won't be able to. But please, if you have any specific questions as we're going, feel free to write them, and then these guys may get back on later and rewatch the show and see that what you posted. They may come back in and type something up. So anyway, thank you everyone for joining in tonight. Before I turn it back over to Tim, I want everybody to remember we are auctioning off the Whiskey River Cake Company whiskey cake from Susie Jean. If you haven't had one, you definitely need to bid because these things are amazing. There's one that Tim and I are actually munching on. Mine's almost gone already, Tim. But what's the current bid right now, Coney? Do you remember? $275? $275 right now, and all the proceeds go to the NSBA and AQHA Crisis Fund. So let's make sure that we keep the bidding going. Tim, take it over.
Okay, here we guys go. Aaron, I'm going to ask you the first question here. What's the process, the beginning? I'm not sure where your horses are in the December month, like 2019 to up to May right now. Can you tell us basically like what you've been doing with your horses, your young fraternity horses up to the stage?
I think for me, that's kind of one of the most exciting times of the year because you get to see a horse come in, that probably hasn't even had a saddle on its back before. And you get to see that horse kind of get started and come up through the process and, progress from carrying a rider around to, to start giving its face and moving its body and some stuff like that. And then just kind of see how that horse, how their talent shines through. I always think my favorite time is from starting that horse to taking it to the show pen for the first time. I enjoy the rest, but that's really, the most exciting time for me is, to see that horse, it makes the most progress in that period of time, I think, than in any time of its life. So there's a lot happening throughout that process, but it's really, it's really rewarding to see that horse come in, barely having been handled, and then a few months later, close to ready to show sometimes.
Yeah, it seems interesting because the cycle stays every year. Like you bring a new group of class of horses, and you have to do it all over again. Kay, Joe, do you want to add on to this here?
Yeah, I think there's a big difference in the process from December to May. That's a giant. That's a giant area. I think I like December because it's my slow time and it's kind of a selfish time for me. I've normally come home from the World Show and I'm whooped. And our colt breakers, and our help and all that stuff starting colts. And I normally take 2 horses. My horses I got to finish from last year, a 2-year-old I saved back or whatever. And then my favorite time personally is about now. I'm a really good finisher. So give me 2 or 3 that, I get to ride 2 or 3 times a day and really put a really good finish on. And that's my time. But wait a minute, I got shorted on my answer last time. I talked about my son for a second. So my son JR started riding.
Oh my gosh, yes. How did we get over that?
I know. I was like, oh wait.
Joe. Thank you.
I know, right? And so he kind of did reiners a little bit, and he was 3rd in the walk around at the Congress a couple of years ago. But we got him a horse this year, and he's going to start showing. So it's super exciting.
Sorry, there we go.
Tell all of our customers not to do. We got him a 3-year-old that's never been shown, and he's learning how to ride. They're learning together. Which
that's awesome.
We're supposed to do, but we're doing it, so I'm super excited.
And Katie Joe, that's completely on me. I totally apologize about that. And family is always the most important thing to me. So the fact that I did that, I feel horrible right now. So thank you for forgiving me and moving on.
You're fine.
Okay, Andy, how about you? Tell us where you guys are at on your horses right now from December to May.
I'm like Aaron. I like to get them up and see. You start with a group that looks really good, and you go through those motions. And they change a lot. You see the lesser ones come up, some of the greater ones go down, and that's what I like. And that means saddle time. So I think every young horse, whether they move good or not, needs a little bit of an equal opportunity as that great one, because sometimes that lesser one can come on. I kind of believe it kind of goes both ways, but I believe you can give the horse the foundation and show it to him. It's his decision if he's going to go slow or not. I don't truly think you can make a horse go slow. Maybe in time, from December to the time you're talking about. So where I'm at this time of year is probably the ones that I've, that are getting supple and putting the moves on. If they're not quite there yet, I might start turning it up right now and say, all right, I'm going to stop you a little harder, or I might do this to you or do that. Are you going to step up this year? And if they're still good and not, then I might wait on that horse for a little bit. And the horses that are, that are really good-legged and are doing things that maybe just the pleasure's not, then I'm already looking for maybe a way for an all-around horse. Like today, good friend Robin and Jenny Frid stopped in and looked at two horses that it's summer's coming on. I already know that they're probably not going to be top-end pleasure horses. They might be, but I can see their stride. I can see what they're doing. So this is the time of the year that we're starting to make some decisions, and that's what I like to see. And then there are some that I can tell that aren't ready yet to push the pressure for the pleasure and not all around. So I'm backing off on them. They're going to be my next year horses, like Katie Joe said. So it's just a variety, and I like this time of year.
Awesome.
Okay, so
great info there.
I'm going to kind of ask a quick question here, okay? So I'm going to let Katie Jo start us. How does the coronavirus impact your training program at this stage of the season? Annie?
Well, I can't speak for what everybody thinks about us, but I think we're known as much for selling horses as we are showing and winning. And so honestly, it hasn't affected our training process almost or hardly at all. It's affected our horse sales a little bit. That's certainly slowed down. But truthfully, there's nothing that I like more than staying home and riding young horses. And so I hate to be the one that says I'm enjoying parts of this, but I kind of am. I get to stay home and I get to horse train a bunch of young horses with no pressure and no deadline. And
Why
so
does
for
that
me, that's the scenario.
Why does that not surprise me? Why does that not surprise me, Katie Jo? I love it.
How about Aaron? Aaron,
I like to horse train and take my time and let horses talk to me. And unfortunately, deadlines and futurities don't normally give us that opportunity. So this is it's a good time for it.
Okay, Aaron, maybe you can help us too. In Texas, does it change any?
Go
ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, day to day, it really hasn't affected us too much. We're still going to the barn and riding our horses. If anything, like Katie Jo said, you can find good in everything, and it's given us a little bit more time to stay home and ride some of our horses. 2-year-olds or something that maybe wouldn't have had as much time if we were going to all the shows. So that's been good. Really training wise, it hasn't affected how we're riding any horses really yet. I think definitely we're not going to shows, so that's a big thing, but not a whole lot on the day to day at all.
Mandy?
The same. We're working. Some we're pushing a little harder on, some a little less. And in my opinion, it's and I think Aaron and Katie Jo are the same way. It slowed me down a little bit because I'm not getting a chance to see what my competitor has. Gil Gallion, Rusty Green, Jay Starnes. Hey, what do you got? Do I need to come home and turn it? Do I need a better horse? Do I need to get out of this horse? This is where I'm seeing just a little bit, because we all do want to win, but we want to do the best with the horse that we have. But how good is my horse? I don't know. It may be good to me, but it might not be good as Aaron Moses when I get to the horse show, or Katie Jo's or Rusty Green. So I may come home and do a little more or do a little less. That's the only thing I see. It's getting that time of year, so that's where I see just a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I'll agree with Andy 100% on that. We for sure use each other as barometers. And I don't, sometimes we have a really cool horse at home, and then we go to a horse show and we're like, well, I guess I was wrong about this one, because, these 4 people have twice as good. So, there certainly is an element of that, and also where we should be at this time. Like, I'm really out of my 2-year-old right now, but if I go to the horse show and Jay and Andy have theirs on the rail on a full drape, I'm like, well, shit.
Sure.
I guess I got to pull harder. You know, and that's human nature. I guess something silent on Andy.
That makes sense. Going all the way back to when Aaron was talking, this is the most exciting time from when you get them as yearlings to the point that you actually take them to your first horse show, because it's like you've been riding a bike with training wheels the whole time, and you want to see if you really have the feel of what it's going to be like without it. And you get to the first horse show, and if you take the training wheels off, and it's like a completely different animal, or if like, okay, I'm not. Obviously, they're going to change a little bit here or there, but you get to a point where by the end of that first horse show they go to, they feel a little bit more like what you had at home. Then holy smokes, that's got to be very rewarding, I would think.
Well, it can go either way on your Brad. It can go real good for you or real bad.
You bet.
Okay, Aaron, I'm going to let Aaron take this question first, okay? Why do you guys primarily focus on the pleasure fraternity horses, and why do you guys enjoy this class so much?
Speaking for myself, primarily why I do the pleasure, it's what I learned to do. And, I know it takes about all the time I have to try to be as successful as I can and, try to do a good job on my horses. I think it's a little bit different maybe than, some other disciplines that we are starting, with a horse that really doesn't know much of anything. And we have to break that horse to ride and then, take it up through the process. And that takes a long time, trying to put the foundation on that horse so somebody can go on and teach it another event, or it can be successful in the pleasure. I love Western pleasure because I love a good mover. It's just me. I look for movement in every class, whether I'm watching trail or Western riding or any class. I love the event. It's what I love to do. And, to do other events right now, I feel like would take away a little bit from my ability to be successful in the event that people are sending me horses to do. So that's kind of where I'm at on that.
Andy, how about you? What do you think?
I'm the same with Aaron a little bit. This is what I started to learn, and this is what I love to do. You hear a lot of people say, well, that horse is finished. The horse is trained to do an event, but I truly, even an old pleasure horse, I don't think a horse ever stops learning. You may have a horse still doing the pleasure that's doing something not really right. And I still believe you can work on those things. And I don't feel like I've accomplished all of my goals yet, as good as I want to do for myself and the people I work, not just the people I work for, but whoever I help with a horse. I think you can always change a horse, whether it's doing something right or wrong. You can work on it. And so until I get to where I feel comfortable, I'm just not there yet, but I do love the other events. I love to watch it. I think the Western riding is something that's really cool and special, and you got to be really talented to do it. It comes really fast. I've changed some leads here and there. Don't really know what I'm doing. We've sold some that have gone on and done really good in the Western riding from here. And but this is what I love, and this is still where I'm at. So that's I'm gonna keep.
So, Katie, Joe, I know you do the undersaddle also. So there's two events we're talking about here. So tell me your passion and why you like those two so much.
I'm going to say this. It's easier to divide it into young horses. I enjoy being a teacher more than an enforcer, if that makes sense. And I think on the young horses, you got to have a blank canvas. And a lot of my customers, I can't speak for everybody, but we'd like to get in on kind of the ground floor and grow and then sell them and make money. And so with the maturity horses, that's kind of our angle. I'm with both of these guys in that it's fun to start them and guess. And I guess coming from how I was raised by my dad and Carl and all them, I think I'm pretty good at picking a good horse out. And so I like that. I like going into a field and picking a horse out and then taking it home and being a blank canvas and making it work. As far as the hunt seat goes, to be honest, I backed way off because I don't want to be jack of all trades and master of none. And so I have chosen to do the Western Pleasure more than the hunt seat. It pays more. The horses are worth more. And for me, it's more, be careful how I say this. It's more gratifying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
Than it is the hunt seat.
Yep.
And so I've gone that route.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, guys, here it goes.
Well, and before you move right on, just one thing to sum up all of that, that all three of you, that's why I'm sure there's so many people knocking on your door, because you all do such a great job with these young stock. And even if they're not the top of the line, they're still getting their attention paid to them. They're still getting the pieces they need. If they're not going to be the best pleasure horse, they're still getting the pieces they need in order to be a complete horse. Somebody can come, ride around, see, yeah, this thing's going to change leads. This thing is going to go over a trail. Let me just be the first to say thank you.
Yeah, and if I can add on to that, we start a lot of horses, and let's say there's 2 exceptional ones, but there's a lot of them that are just nice horses. And so for me, we sell a lot of horses. We make as much money on those horses. And those horses sometimes even have a longer career than our 2 best horses we do that year. And so there is no unimportant horse when you start 2-year-olds. I think as horse trainers, our job is to give a horse the best job to be successful, not to put them in our mold. Does that make sense?
You bet. Absolutely.
Okay, so this question here, can you guys hear me okay? Tell me about loping with forward motion and stretching out your stride. So, Andy, I'm going to have you go first. Tell me what that means to you, and when they call out those gaits in the class, what's your interpretation of that?
So can I add in here real quick, Tim, before they answer? Yes. I love this question because typically we ask this question to judges, okay? And so here we've got 3 of the top pleasure trainers in our industry, and so I can't wait to hear all these answers. So please, Andy, kick it off.
I think it depends on your horse and the class you're in and what's going on around you. Katie Jo used a good example last night on us talking about, if they call for it, maybe get off that horse a little bit. Maybe don't kiss, but don't do this or that. I used this other night. I had an example of a 2-year-old last year I showed. Really big horse, really stridey horse. I caught myself showing him a couple times, and I'd come out, and my wife and other few people were like, looks good, but just a little bit tight here and there, maybe this or that. So I showed him last year at NSBA World, and got in line, bunch of nice horses, and he was good, but maybe not good enough. So in the next series of the class, they had another go of something else. Anyway, when they called for the lope, I just kind of moved him out, took my legs off, and let him be what he was. He was a little more, I don't know if he was more forward, but maybe a little more freer. And I ended up winning. And I was 3rd before that, and he was too tight. So I can see where some of it's good, but I don't know if you can do a horse like that all year, because you got to watch what you work for. Like I worked for non-pros. That my goal is to make sure that horse is good for my people. If I feel him doing something, even they call the gate, I'm like, I don't know yet if he's ready for that. They might be ready for it and want to see it, but I'm looking out what's best for that horse at that situation. I don't know if forward means going faster or just maybe, like Katie Jo said, just lighten up here. If you need to pass, don't pass. There's times when we know we need to pass and we don't. We're doing things for our horse, and I think we're all kind of seeing it, and we do it at the right time and what's best and what's not. So that's kind of how I see it, if that makes sense.
That's good. And I want Katie Jo and Aaron to answer as well, because I want to be sure that we touch on something before we move on to the next subject. But Katie Jo, Aaron, either one.
Aaron, why don't you go, Aaron?
Okay. I think it's really a mental reminder, when we hear that gate call. as horse trainer, as pleasure horse trainers, I think all the good trainers, we think about trying to get our horse to take a full step and not have any hesitation, or not any hitch in their stride. We want that horse swinging its legs through. And sometimes when we show, I think we get a little bit conservative because we want to make sure we're safe and, and we stay in our spot and all that, so I think it's just, for me, it's a good reminder that, my horse's length of stride might not be the same as Andy or Katie Joe's or somebody else's. And, if I have a horse that's a little bigger strided and he looks better at that pace, then I need to just go ahead and show him at that pace, not trying to jam him down and be as slow as or slower than another horse. To me, it's not as much about speed as just making sure that our horses are taking that full step and look like a pleasure to ride, and they aren't hesitating or catching in their stride anywhere.
Good.
Perfect.
It's good.
How about Katie? Okay, Joe, here goes.
Tim.
Yep. Yes.
I want to touch on something just real quick that I talked about with
no
a friend of mine the other day or so. Just in that horse that I use, for example. Now, if I showed that horse like that all the time they called for that, I don't think that horse would be where he ended up in the fall, because he was a bigger horse. So you got to kind of watch that. He was a lengthy horse, so you got to protect both sides of it. If I showed him to win like that all the time, he wouldn't have won the Congress probably in the fall, because he's too big-sided. So I did have to watch what I did. And there's two sides of that. So I want the public to know, hey, if you drive a race car wide open all the time, it's probably going to blow up.
Right. Well, that was the point that I was going to bring back to you, because that's what we had talked about yesterday when we were all visiting, is that exact point. So I wanted to make sure that you brought that exact point up, and that was something new there about the race car blowing up. Yes, that was a great analogy right there. Katie Joe, let's go.
I've been pretty vocal about this. I think that there's a fine line that we ride between level of difficulty, in that a great horse can do it slower than an average horse, and then us doing a gait that's so slow it doesn't translate to any other event.
Yes. Yes.
And so we got to ride that line. And also, it's really easy for Andy and Aaron and I to sit on our high horse and say, the people on the internet, or the fans as they were, don't count. But the truth is, at some point in time, we have to respect what they think. And if we ride around on the rail all the time riding the brake, which all three of us especially are very capable of doing, we might get around, but we're going to look not very good. And so it's a fine line between level of difficulty and doing a gait that is a normal horse gait.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Because there is that thing. And just for example, I have not seen this from Andy's horse, but we're just talking about this horse. If Andy shows it on Monday, getting ready for his non-pro to show it on Wednesday, and he rides a brake and it looks kind of weird, and the internet gets hold of that picture and that video, they're going to say, well, look at it throwing its outside front leg, and it's too crooked, and yada, yada, yada.
Right. Yep.
Doing something, we're working on some stuff. So there is that, and that's weird. I really think that when someone says lope with forward motion, Aaron and I had this conversation months ago. I think it's just stretch them. Don't kiss. Just take your foot brake off of them and put your hand down. And if your horse exhales and has to pass a horse, let it do it.
I like that word. That's the first time I'd heard that yesterday when we were talking, when you said stretch. Just stretch.
But listen,
I love that. I like
one thing about it. We can do it all we want to, but if the judges don't reward it, we will quit. We can't forget that this is how we feed our family, and this is how we pay for our farms, and we will do wins.
Yeah.
So if we stretch them and y'all don't let it go out and y'all don't reward it, we will do something different.
Hey, great panel here, guys. Great panel. We have the largest crowd we've had since we've been starting the show, guys. So thank you for participating so far. amazing answers. Honestly, this has been awesome for me. Tim, are we ready to go to?
It's that time. I'm trying to inspire them.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Rapid Fire. So tonight, everybody, we have a different format, similar to what we did with the Cannizzaro triplets. Okay, where they've got A, B, C, and D, and we're going to be flashing the questions and the A, B, C, D answers on the screen. Okay, so the three of these have to put up their answer after. Tim will ask the question. Kona will put the question up at the same time, and we'll go from there. So, Tim, when you're ready.
Here we go. Question number 1. What professional sport do you enjoy watching the most? Is it A, baseball, B, basketball, C, football, D, hockey, C. Oh, football fans. Big time football
no
fans.
Basketball?
No. So sad. Okay. Second question. How do you like to eat your steak? A, rare. B, medium rare. C, medium. D, well done.
Gotta be medium. Me too, Kate.
C,
I'm medium.
A.
I'm a C, Andy. I'm a C. Oh.
You got a rare man. Love
Rare.
that. That's like the Volmer sisters.
High protein.
Question three. Which event do you like to watch at the NFR? A, the bucking horses. B, the barrel racers. C, the bull riding. D, the roping.
Can we say those again?
Which event do you like to watch at the NFR?
Letters.
Bucking horses, barrel racers, bull riding, and roping.
It's on the screen, Katie.
Come on. Oh, double answering. OMG. Andy? B. Okay.
B.
Good job.
Barrel
Good job.
racer. Good answer. If you listen to his son, what his son does.
There you go. Question 4. Which junior horse finals in Oklahoma City would you go and sit down and watch? Which junior horse finals? A, Western riding. B, trail. C, ranch riding. D, reining. Which junior horse finals in Oklahoma City would you go sit down and watch?
Yeah, that's a good one. Katie Joe, you're cheating.
Come on,
you gotta pick, but it's a horsewoman in here. You look
right.
at all. I get it.
Okay. A D, B, and A. Love that.
Trail was in there, Tim.
Yeah. Okay. Good job. What type of drink would you have to relax and decompress? A, beer. B, wine. C, mixed drink. D, blended drink. A, B, C, D. Beer boys. Oh, no, C, mixed drink. You love that. Okay. D, 6. Name your favorite place to show your pleasure fraternity horses. Important here. A, Tom Powers. B, NSBA World Show. C, Congress. D, Show for Dough.
Show for dough. Come on. Oh, Tom Powers. Look at that.
Okay, here's a good one.
Clean sweep.
You guys listening carefully. Name the style of dancing you did with your spouse last. A, country two-stepping. B, slow and romantic. C, jump and grind. And D, freestyle rock and roll.
I called it, Katie Joe. I called it before the show started.
Aaron, what's Aaron's
I
answer?
said Moses was going to be C. Oh,
there you go.
A and B. All right.
I'm not a dancer. I'm not a
Last date night restaurant you took your spouse alone together. A, Asian. B, Italian. C, Mexican. D, American. Last date night you took your spouse alone to. A, Asian. B, Mexican. D, American.
D, American, Andy. C, Mexican, Moses.
On,
Katie
C.
Joe is a Mexican restaurant.
Okay.
All right. Can't remember Katie Joe. It's like to me.
2 more. Which app on the phone do you use most during your free time? Which app on your phone? A, Facebook. B, Instagram. C, YouTube. D, Netflix. You probably don't have a phone. A, Facebook. B, Instagram. C, YouTube. D, Netflix. Which app do you like to use the most? A, Andy?
I don't have any app. I don't even have Facebook.
Oh, okay. Last question.
That's a
okay.
DQ.
I like that.
That's a DQ.
Last
Disqualification.
question. Which game show reminds you of your job? Which game show reminds you of your job? A, the match game. B, the Family Feud. C, the Price is Right. D, Wheel of Fortune. Which game show reminds you of your job? A, the match game. B, the Family Feud. C, the Price is Right.
I see it.
D, Wheel of Fortune. A, B, and
Family
C.
Feud. A, B, and C.
I love it. I love it.
Tim, that was probably the best
We did that one
rapid
good.
fire we've had yet. That was awesome.
Great answers, you guys. Great job.
All right, everybody. So this is the time we thank our sponsors. Again, we want to make sure $275 is our current bid for the whiskey cake from Miss Susie Jean. So please, come on, let's get that bid up for the NSBA AQHA Crisis Fund. And we're going to thank our sponsors here. So hold tight.
Did Katie go to the bathroom?
We lost Katie Joe.
Okay.
We lost Katie
She'll catch
Joe.
up. She's going to catch up. She'll be right back. Okay, so here we go. I got another question for you. Aaron, I'm going to have you start us off.
Okay.
Any tips on presenting your horse better in the pen? What factors go into going down the center of the pen and positioning yourself on the rail during the class? You have any strategy like that or think about that?
The best advice I could give somebody is to go watch as many pleasure classes as you can, or whatever event you're showing. Because I think the judge only has a few seconds to watch you. And I know when I watch classes, I see things that stand out. And then I try to create those things in my horses. Obviously, getting your horse in space, whether it's on the rail or off the rail, getting your horse where it can be presented by itself, I believe is the prettiest picture.
Right.
When a class starts, if you have the chance to do it, I always try to look around and try to get myself some space where, maybe I'm not behind the slowest horse in the class, so I give myself a little bit of room to present my horse the best I can. But, watch classes, watch how the horses come in and what catches your eye. Because I think I really believe presentation is huge. You can be the best horse trainer on the best horse, and if you don't present it properly, it's probably not going to be the winner, and somebody will beat you on one that's presented better. So that's
Answer.
I think.
Yeah. Andy? You want to add on to that, Andy? You have anything about presenting your horse in the pen better, or what factors go in when you're showing and positioning your horse on the rail?
We've all showed a lot at our level, and when we come in, or if we have to come down the middle and we line up on the rail, I know who's in front of me and who's behind me, and I've probably seen those horses all year or a little bit, and I know who's doing what, so I'm already thinking in my mind as the walk what we're fixing to do and what kind of horse he has, and that goes back to horse showing and being there and being in the public. I know who's always got a slow trotter and where I need to get, and maybe his is a little slower loper, or I need to be here, or maybe he's a go-on loper, and maybe I need to stay right here jogging more, walk my horse slower. Just at that time of the year or where I'm at. Doesn't mean you got to cramp it all the way down. Maybe just slow the pace down, and they call for that lope, then I know his horse may be a little stridier than mine, so I'm going to keep that. I think it depends a lot on the color of the horse, what you wear and what color your bands are, and how you do. There's a lot of things that represent a horse, and it just plays in the factor of being out there and looking, like Aaron said. So that's kind of how I see it.
Good.
Great. Katie Joe, I got two parts of this. So can you tell me about the flat classes too, the hunt seat classes too, besides the pleasure classes, how you present your horse and any tips how you show them?
Why didn't you ask Andy and Moses that? I'm just kidding.
I'm saying it for Katie.
Listen, the only thing they do better at the hunt seat than me is they look thinner in hunt pants. But
Okay, Joe.
I'm gonna say of the three of us here, I'm the worst showman. I struggle
Come
there.
on.
No, I mean this from my soul. I really am. I struggle there. I'm not made wonderful, and it's a struggle to sit back. I mean, I am my father's daughter, and so I have to work really hard at presenting. And honestly, I have to get my horses super horse trained to overcome what I feel are my, lack of showmanship ability in the show pen. It's just honest. But I mean, all the things they said are important. For me, sometimes because I tend to let mine go more forward than most, which I blame on the hunt seat, but I do. Sometimes I have to make the decision: do I stay and ride the break, or do I let him go? So I try and pass on corners because Lord knows I'm probably going to pass. And I try and only show great joggers because for me, I may as well start in the top of the card. And joggers gain you space.
You bet.
And I would rather do that. And then, as far as hunt seat horses go, I got a big problem with people that go around those judges in power trot. I don't.
Me too.
And the problem is sometimes it gets me beat because I get mad about it and I go towards the rail. And then I think the judge think I'm in trouble. And I'm not. I just don't want to run them over.
Right.
And so I'm like, no, I'm tired of getting into the middle of everybody and rustling. And I think it's really hard to show your horse in the middle unless you have a glorified Western horse. And that's a problem. That's mine on the hunt seat too. Are we showing Western horses that can long trot, or are we showing hunt seat horses? Because there's a really big difference for me. And so if I'm showing a Western horse that can long trot, I'm a NASCAR driver, and I'll be in the middle, and like here. But if I'm showing a giant hunt seat horse that's the real deal, I can't NASCAR. So
well, a couple points to add there that I've never shown a hunt seat horse. I've never put those pants on, but I can't understand why you'd want to show a hunt seat horse with such a smaller arena. I would think that anyway. I don't want to open up a whole can of worms of how to train these things and all that. I'm just saying that I love it when they give me some space as a judge. There's nothing I like to have to pull my clipboard back as they're coming around the end of the pin there, right? And then I think
the hunt seat horses in a smaller pen can quickly become a horse training contest because the person who can lock them down in the corners and then show them on the straightaway, and that your better horse trainers have a major advantage in a smaller pen in the hunt seat. Right. No matter what size the horse, if you have the ability to just go, come here, and then show when you want to, and then hold tight, and then show. That's an advantage.
Yep.
But
I don't think what I'm going to say here is going to be a surprise to anybody that's watching. But as you listen to everybody, these guys are guys, including Katie Joe. When I say guys, I'm talking about everybody here on our show tonight. There's a lot of work that goes into this. And like all the way down to the bands and color of your shirt or whatever that we've heard tonight. But there's a lot of work and thought and a process that goes into it. It's not about, I got my horse trained the best. Let's just go see it. Why didn't I win? My horse trained the best. There is way more about it than just having your horse trained when you want to get out of sixth place, right? Get into the top five, out of top five into the top three, out of the top three, and take away that gold trophy at the end of the day, right?
I'm the only girl here, and so I'll say this. My clothes cost 10 times as much as theirs do. And it's easy to say something simple like, well, you could just wear a tuck-in shirt. No, I can't. I'm not that thin. So I don't have that advantage. No, I'm serious. Like, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, for me to tuck my shirt in and let my buckle show is like not the most attractive thing on me. So I have to dress appropriate for my body and my horse and my size. And on a horse trainer's salary, like we do good, but we're not rich. You know, so there's another part to it.
I'll say this to end this question, that I've judged all of you multiple times, and I think what stands out the most is that what is the horse called? Western Pleasure. And all of your horses look like a pleasure to ride, right? Like it doesn't look like it takes a lot of effort. And if it looks like it takes a little too much effort, that's going to take away from it. So I think I love that bird dogging look going down the rail. Katie Jo, you know, when you're talking about that horse that has a free flowing forward, a little bit more forward lope, but I mean, their neck is just soft hanging there and their ears are just heading down the rail. Look, I mean, what's going to beat that, in my opinion? You know, obviously there's going to be more than just one in there, you know, when you get to the major horse shows that we've talked about. But you guys, kudos to all three of you. And I know there's more out there that aren't on this panel, but kudos to all three of you, because you've kind of figured out a secret sauce for what works for y'all. And that's kind of why we wanted to have you on here, because there's some people out there that are focusing in. They're not to the stage that you are. And we're going to get to questions about that here in a little bit, about what you can say to maybe help them along their training route. Go ahead, Tim.
So now that we have a 3-year-old stakes class, a level 1 stakes class, I think it's at the World Show, level 2, level 3, pleasure class, versatility challenge. So with these additional classes in Oklahoma City at the AQHA World Show, how does that help, or does that make a lot of work for you guys? Is that a positive direction that we're going in? Oh, I'm sorry. Andy, sorry. Andy, Aaron, Kate.
You know, I don't know. That'll separate me just a little bit different from the rest. I work for a farm, so but I think it's going to help. You know, I think that you may show a horse all year, and you know, I only get to show one, so I may have another horse I want to take there, and same for the other guys. So I think it's a good thing. You know, we'll have to see how it grows. It's going to be the new year, and I think it's a positive thing. I think you guys are doing a great thing, and it'll be good. So we'll see how it goes.
Aaron?
You know, I think it's great. You know, anytime you can get another person or another horse to the show, that's good for everybody. Speaking for myself, you know, it really helps me a lot, because, you know, one of the hardest things I deal with in my business is only being able to show one horse per class. And sometimes you have multiple horses for that class that people have sent, you know, and everybody wants their horse to get shown, understandably. So just kind of managing all that, it can be challenging. And, you know, having another place to show another horse and let one more customer have their horse come to the show and get shown is going to be very helpful to me, I think.
I think for me, I think for me, I can speak different from these two. I'm not from that part of the country, so I'm from Florida. And so for me, if I bring 4 horses, I basically lose money being there for 3 weeks, or 8, whatever it is, 16 days, and 2 weeks. And so any excuse to give me to take another horse and give us another high-profile event will only help us, especially people that don't live right around there.
Got it. So I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. How about this one? Yeah, you did. You threw me off. I got a couple of questions left because I got time too. How do you guys keep these horses fresh, to last for multiple years? I mean, it seems like you train them, they get to be 2s, and then they either do other events or become 3s, juniors, senior horses, and amateur horses. How do you keep the longevity of them to keep liking their job and everything?
Good question, Deb.
I'm sorry. I was going to start with Andy.
Okay, Andy.
Sorry.
You know, I think it depends on the horse. After longevity, you'll know your horse. There will be some horses that do better the more you show. There's, you know, I've had one mare that's taken a long time to fit, that a lot of horse trainers rode her. She got a little better the older she got. And there's some horses I got that do better with a little time off. You may come home and maybe turn that horse out in the lot and let them play, or go do, maybe change some leads or do some other stuff. And I think each horse speaks for themselves. So that's something as a horseman you got to make a decision on your horse and get with your customers and see what you want to do to keep that horse happy.
Right. Aaron, you want to add on to this?
Yeah. I think, we have to be, as horse trainers, we have to be really good horse managers. And that means that we don't necessarily come out and ride a horse twice a day, every, 5-6 days a week, every day of the year. You burn a horse out like that, if they don't need it. So, figuring out the best, like Andy said, figuring out some horses, they can have most of the time off and they know their job, and you bring them up about 2 or 3 weeks before the show and get them tuned up and go show, and that's how they function. Other horses you got to ride a little bit more, stay a little bit more consistent on, but doing what's best for that horse and riding it in a way that makes sense to that horse so it wants to do its job, and then just making sure that horse is physically and mentally the best it can be, I think helps keep horses going longer.
Yeah, for sure. Katie Joe?
Yeah, I think the biggest gift or curse in what we do with maturity horses is knowing when to peak them and how to take care of them. And sure. Knowing your horses, if you ride them every horse show every day, like it's the finals of the 3-year-old open at the Congress, you're going to fry them. So sometimes you got to get beat in the spring to win in the fall. And sometimes on some horses, you got to go home and turn them out and not ride them for 2 weeks, and I think that's something you can't teach a horse trainer. I think it's a gift. I really do. Knowing when to stop and when.
Katie, I'm going to add this other question in here and let you keep going here, and then we'll let the boys follow you. Is there a difference in prepping a horse to show for just you, or prepping a horse to show when you have a youth or amateur, or have a youth or amateur that shows behind you?
Absolutely. Huge.
So what goes into that? Like prepping
so here's the thing about me. I'm really bad about this, but sometimes I'll just think it's good enough for me, and I'll work twice as hard on my non-pro horses. And then they'll have great rides, and I'll get run off with on the really good horse. So I can be careful with this.
Yes. The same thing can happen trail riding, by the way.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to get this horse so ready for client A and B, and I'm going to do this. And then I'm like, oh, I'm showing that one, it's fine. And then I get smoked. And then they have great rides and do everything they're supposed to. But truthfully, I think the real answer to this is your long-term goals. And if your client wants to go to the Congress and do really good, or the World Show, and they want to win some futurities, then your long-term goal has to be focused around those things. I think Andy touched on this earlier with his big bay horse he showed last year. I think that you have to keep your eye on the prize for yourself and your clients. And at some point in time, as a horse trainer, I have to decide to be selfish and say, I should ride their horse again, but the most important thing I can do for my camp is win the 3-year-old Open Washington Pleasure tomorrow, and I need to go focus on that and do that. And so that's a hard
That's a really good
times, but you got to make those. I'm bad at that.
Right.
I got to get better.
When you're talking about the camp, that's an important piece, because we all have a set of clients, and there needs to be a signature victory at some point. I feel like, if we're all going to this horse show together, there needs to be a signature victory. So that comes up to all of us as horse trainers to say, you don't pick somebody to do that. But when you're saying you've got a 3-year-old, what today, when you get up early in the morning and you're riding your horses, what do you feel like today is that shot to do, right?
Rick Skelly said to me years ago, they were at the Congress, they had a bad horse show, and Karen won the junior hunt seat. That's all they won. And he said, nothing matters except for the fact that we won one of the most important classes at this horse show. It's a camp victory. Yep. And so there is that.
Okay. So me? Okay, so I got a big question down here. So Aaron, I'm going to make you, since you're the youngest, I'm going to have you answer this one first. Okay, you three are very successful in your pleasure horse industry business today. What qualities should upcoming young trainers possess in their programs to encourage new potential clients to come into the industry? Any words of wisdom?
No,
Andy.
sorry, I was just
Aaron.
sorry. First of all, you've got to work hard, and you've got to be completely devoted to your business. And when you do that, I believe you will do what it takes to encourage customers to come and be involved. And sometimes that's going to get help from somebody. But work hard, take care of your horses, try to give people a good experience. Don't take advantage of them. Don't give them any doubt that you're out there doing the best you can for them. And sometimes it doesn't work out, but at the end of the day, if you've done everything you can for that customer, and for their horse, I believe you'll be fine.
Okay, great answer. Now, Andy, you work for Capital, so I don't know. Can you just tell some people out there some wisdoms of getting in the business and how to deal with some clients and stuff like that?
I'm kind of like Aaron. If if you're a trainer, young trainer, or an older trainer and running a business, and you get in a spot, and you stand, you look up, and you're 2 months, 3 months in that spot, and that spot's not changing, then make a change. Load up, go somewhere. And you hear a lot about, well, I can't load up, I can't go, I got too much to do here. Well, if that's not changing at home, then something's going to change on the other side. So you either make change for the best or stay there, and the change is going to be for the worst. So that's how I see it. Just be open-minded and try to do, speak a lot with your customers. Communication, I'm learning in life, and anything you do, if you're struggling somewhere or whatever, communication with your people is one of the biggest positives in anything you do. Say, hey, look, I'm struggling a little bit. The horse is good. Maybe I need to change. Or, don't just always blame it on the horse, or just be open-minded is what I see. And then, in the public at the horse shows, keep things kind of to yourself. I always was an aggressive rider, and it hurt me at times in the public, and there's a time and a place for everything. So just be open-minded. That's what I see. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, Katie Jo, help us. Say again.
Say the question again, Tim.
Oh, I'm sorry. So what qualities should young upcoming trainers possess in their programs to encourage new potential clients to come into the industry? No trick question. So
yeah, that's a trick question for me. I don't know. I think that a lot of young horse trainers forget that we do this to feed our families and make money. And I always want to remind them, if you're losing money at this, there has to be a time limit to that. I can keep doing this for a while, but at some point in time, I'm supposed to buy a house or pay my rent, or maybe if I have children, put money away for their college. So there's that angle.
Right.
Don't do this to the point that you're struggling. Right. And you're not making it. But as far as what we do, and I'm going to try and say this as good as I can, I really believe in my soul, we work the hardest, and our job is the most difficult.
I agree.
In the horse training situation. We start them, we do all the hard work and all that stuff, and so to our customers, I say, well, you can get it on the ground floor with me, and you can work with me, and it's a bigger risk, but you also have the biggest reward. You have a chance to buy a yearling for a set amount, and we can train it and show it and sell it for a lot more money to an all-around horse trainer.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a two-part question for me. What do I say to young horse trainers? Don't sell your soul. make sure you're making a living. And what do I say to bring new people? Do what we do because we actually stand a chance at making money.
That's good.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay, so that's as much time as I have on this. So do you guys have anything else you want to talk about that I haven't covered? Or, there's a couple of other questions, but I'm running out of time. So
I'll say one thing,
yeah.
Tim.
You bet.
This was a little bit on your subject. Here's what I say to young guys. A lot of young guys learn to do one event. Yeah, you can make a horse go down the rail, or you can do this other. If you love the horses, you find you a program. You teach a horse to stop, back up, indirect turn, direct turn, counter canter, be a horseman. Don't just be a pleasure trainer. And you will find
from rooftops, Andy.
And you will find you a place in this life if you want to do the horses. Look, foundation and basics are the horses to everything we do. And a lot of events get away from basic horse training. There's a lot of straight horses. There's a lot of this and that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong.
Our event does, Andy.
Foundations of a horse and being a horseman, the young guys will make somewhere. There's always a need for a horseman in some event in our business, and that's what I have to say.
100%. And the problem that the Western Buzzer horses have sometimes is we get too gimmicky. Like, why can't we just stop, roll back, and roll to the mailbox?
Yeah,
and that's becoming a lost art. And I think the guys that just left leg means go right and right leg means go left and give your face. That's
give your face. Yes,
I mean, that's it. Like, go through your face. Like my dad, when we were starting colts, he used to not let us do anything until we could ride our colts one-handed, stop, roll back, lope circles, and then go on. And sometimes I think that if we had some people's broke Western Buzzer horses today, one-handed in a snaffle, and you stop and roll back and lope off, they couldn't do it. And don't lose that.
Right.
That's our job.
You have anything to add to these two here?
We're closing it out. This is your last chance, Moses.
A little bit on the same topic, for somebody starting out, get in if you can, like I was really lucky to get with Gil and Becky, and that made my career. Go somewhere, find a horseman that you respect, get help, stick with that program, learn a program, master a program from somebody that's successful and is respected in the industry. It will go a long way to your career. I know it made mine, and I don't think I could have done it without it. So,
great answer for sure.
Good answer.
Okay. Yeah, great answer. That's. I mean,
you have an extra, right?
That's it. How about the cake? Sorry about that, real quick. How about the cake, you guys?
So we'll update. We got Mr. Dean Ross from Alberta, $500.
Wow, $500 for the cake. Thanks, Dean.
Yes, Katie Joe. Thank you for saying that. Of course, 250 is going to NSBA, 250 is going to AQHA Crisis Funds. Dean, thank you so much. Jeff Pardoon, Robin Frid, all of you that have bid tonight on this, we really appreciate it.
Can I say one thing, too?
Of course.
Tonight's the first night I had my real hat, not the official, keeping real. Tonight's the first night I get the real mic. Okay, so
thank y'all for bearing with him. He's learning how to use this new mic he's got here.
Now I talk too soft in it, but say what?
What?
I want a hat. Everybody that goes on Show Pony Radio gets attired.
As soon as we get our everything paid for, which we thank our sponsors, we'll be making plenty of hats for sure. But I do want to say that Mr. Gene Spagnola with C. Letchworth Bits and Spurs has given each one of you a $50 gift certificate towards a new Chuck Letchworth bit or a set of spurs, either one that you want.
So get the MOT do trail.
Get that back from me.
So congratulations, you all. Thank you, Gino, for that sponsorship for these three guys.
Thank you.
And the lady, excuse me, two
Thanks,
guys
Gino.
and a lady. Thank you all again for your input. It's been a great night. This was the first time we've kind of had a 3-person panel on here, and I don't know. I can see if these guys have time. I know it's getting into tight futurity time, but if they ever have time to come back, I know that it's, everybody would love to see you guys back. So we'll think and try to put another episode 2 together.
Yeah.
Great information, but we have a list of questions right here that we didn't get to touch on. That were some great topics, but we've got Tim and I are going to be jumping over to the Kimes Ranch show here in a little bit, talking some trail. So if any of you want to go there, please go to the Kimes Ranch Jeans Facebook page and watch there. I think we're starting at 9 p.m. Central Time. So Aaron, Andy, Katie, Joe, one more time, thank you so much. We'll let you guys go. If you want to stay on, we're just going to kick you off the screen here while Tim and I visit, and then we can wrap up here in just about a minute or two.
Thank you, guys.
Everybody, thank you for coming on and watching. Thank you for your input, for your bids. Friday night, we have Miss Leslie Lang Bear, which we get to hear the story of why she is called Bear. Oh, man, we interviewed her today, and, I mean, that lady is Johnny on the spot, sharp as a tack, and you guys are going to love her show, so please be sure to join us for Friday night and get to hear Bear's story. And then tomorrow night is Type the Topic Thursday, which Tim and I have shot today. Tim's here in San Antonio with me, and so we've shot some things to be able to share with you guys tomorrow via pictures. It'll bring up some great questions. So make sure you join us tomorrow night. All right, everybody, stay tuned.
Love my cap, love my mic.
We thank our sponsors one more time. Kona, let's roll that extra. Yes, thank you, Susie Jean. Whiskey River Cake Company.
Been a Kona Cam production. Thanks for watching. Tune in next time.